Hello, chess people. This is Eric or Ewizzle bringing you another forgotten opening. Today we're going to be looking at a gambit, or not even a gambit. It's not technically a gambit. It's a defense against the king's gambit. So e4, e5, and f4. So we have the king's gambit. The way that you would go into this variation, I know a lot of you are gonna, you guys like to play d5. You just play knight c6, and 99.9% of the time, white's just gonna play knight f3. If they don't play knight f3, you kind of have to have something prepared. Like maybe they do a Judith Polgar-esque King's Gambit with bishop c4, where, they're just going to do a little king waltz after you give the check. But even then, you can still transpose. But so basically, it's after knight f3, which happens if they're going to play the King's Gambit. I don't even think I might have one game that I've played, and I have over at least 30,000 online games played. I might have seen bishop c4 like twice. So knight f3 and f5, and this is called the King's Gambit declined Miles defense. Which if you look it up on YouTube, I have a YouTube video where I was a lot lower rated than I am now. That's like one of the top. It has like 200 views, and it's like one of the top. If you look up King's Gambit Miles defense, it's like one of the top 3 videos. There's like no content really on this at all that you can find online. There's no books. It's just nothing. And it's very good. This is the only opening that I've been playing since I looked at openings. Like, this is the first defense I ever learned against the King's Gambit, and I still play it to this day, and I like it so much that I will probably always play it. It's so good, and there's so many traps. So just to start out, the main trap that still, I'm like on lichess Rapid, I'm close to 2300. I still get people with this all the time in Blitz. It's if they do knight takes e5. Just loses immediately because you trade the knights, queen check. If they block, you check and win the rook. And if they come up, check, king here, check. They kind of have to play d4, otherwise they get mated. Check. King has to slide up. Check. They come back. Check. Come back. And then, look at the percentages here. Pick your poison. Like, whatever you want to do, man, you can do it. Like, this is disgusting for white, and they just lose immediately. I've had so many games that ended this way. If they don't play d4, d4 is the move they have to play. If they just come up, I believe it's just mate on the board, right? Yeah, it's just mate. And then after this, you have this. And they can't really stop this check, this take, and that's just mate. I actually had a game like this the other day where I mated, maybe not this exact position, but I mated them with h takes g4. So that's like probably the worst move in the position. But the funny thing is, it's still, if you look at it, it's the 4th most common move. So, and just look at these percentages for black, man. Like, sheesh. So one of the main moves is they can do a lot of stuff. They can do bishop c4 is also a move, and this is another trap. So you take here, right? And then knight takes, and then d5, queen h5 check, g6, knight takes g6, knight f6, queen h4, and I think, yeah, black's just completely winning. You just take here and take the bishop, and you're just winning. There's another move after, I think it's like, there's another trap. Just give me one moment. There's another trap that I've gotten a lot of people with. I think it's after takes, and then the move is always, so when they accept the gambit, the move is always here. Always. And then basically they have a lot of moves. Knight g5, you just play knight f6, you prevent any of this nonsense. And one move that you should know that's a little venomous that I've seen before, that's a little hard for black to play, is bishop e2. They're basically threatening this check, and there's nothing you can do about it, so you just have to allow it. Bishop c5, and after check, you just slide the king to f8, And it's a double-edged position, but I'd prefer black. You know, you're going to get d5, you're going to capture this pawn, and white's done a whole lot of nothing over here. Like, I mean, you can play knight f7, but then you just pin the knight, and, like, I mean, takes, and, I mean, what is this knight doing for the rest of the game? So, that's no good. So bishop e2, the most common move is bishop c4, which is also a horrible move. If you look on the engine, it's already losing. You just play this, d5, and white, like, what are you doing? Bishop c4 is a horrible move, even though, it's funny, the most common move is a horrible blunder. In most of these positions, the better moves are d3, and then you're going to play like d5, d takes e4, d takes e4, and they can trade the queens. So this knight g5 stuff is really not an issue, because you're just going to play knight f6, and eventually you're going to play h6, you're going to move your d pawn either to d6 or d5, and you're just going to have a really good game. More challenging, I would say, is after this move, knight e5 is a bit more challenging. So again, you play knight f6 to avoid any nonsense. And again, this is the trap. This is the next trap. So bishop c4. I think you just play d5, right? Bishop b5. And is it bishop d7? Yeah, this isn't a trap, but this is just the main line. For some reason, we're going to stumble on the other trap eventually. So yeah, they just play bishop b5. They pin your knight, and then you just. I think you can even sack it if you want to. Bishop d7 is probably the human move if you don't want a gambit material. But here, I'm pretty sure you can just take this, and then if they try to win on c6, you just go king f7, and after this move, if they take on a8, you just. Where's the queen going, buddy? Where's he going? And then takes, queen takes, and then knight here, queen here. And I guess this is a roundabout way that white saves the queen. But now bishop c5, and like, I mean, see ya. Good luck with white in this position. So yeah, you can just, it's another position where you can just gambit this b pawn, and it doesn't really matter. You can also just take here. I don't prefer these positions. You guys can experiment with them what you want. I don't like giving white, even though the engine says it's okay. I don't like giving this to white. These pawns here, it seems too strong to me. I'm not a fan. So I would always prefer development over anything. Knight d5. I think the trap is after f5. They play bishop c4. Is it knight f6? Takes, d5. F5. Oh yeah, another move that they can do to stay very solid is white can also just play d3, which is a really solid move, and kind of this is the move where it's like, I don't really like playing this, but it's not because it's bad, it's because it's boring. So you just play d6, and basically white and black are just going to do mirror images of each other. Knight c3, knight f6, white's going to develop the bishop to e2 and castle, black's going to develop the bishop to e7 and castle, and it's just kind of a drawish, boring, dry position. But it's a good way to play with white. If you're a King's Gambit player and you ever play against this, this is very solid, and you're definitely not going to lose in the opening if you play this with the white pieces. So that's one of the main moves. I think d4 is even a move. Struggling here with it. So basically that wraps up everything for this gambit. Again, these are going to be shorter videos. I'm not going to go in depth into every single variation, but they can also, another move they can play is knight c3, and then you just trade, and You can play d5. You can play knight f6. D5 is probably better than knight c3 and e4. And it's playable. But yeah, I like it. I mean, just look at the percentages. So after f5, just look at this win rate, 57%. And again, just to remind you, if you haven't seen the other videos on my channel, I have the opening database set up to where only 2,000 and above. That's it. I don't look at, 1,600, 1,800. I don't look at those games. And it's still 57% win rate for black. Like, come on, man. Like, there's no way you're telling me this isn't a good move. They take here. That's not good. So you can click off the video if you want to. I'm just going to sit here for a moment because there was one more really fun trap that I'm having trouble finding. I think it's just... Is it just bishop c4? Knight f6? Takes. It's something to do with bishop c4 stuff. Bishop c4 takes. This is it right here. Okay. So if you play f5 and they play bishop c4, you simply play f takes e5, knight takes. You trade the knights, and then you play d5. I finally found it. And I've had this position 2 or 3 times, and they always play the same move. They always play en passant, you take with the bishop, and then what they always do is they always play this check. You block it with g6, and then they come to d5, and they're like, hey, man, we got mate threats. And this is losing immediately. And what happens is you play queen h4 check, g3, bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and queen f2 can be met by queen h2, or queen f3. Yeah, queen f3, queen e1, and then queen takes g3, and it's bad. The more challenging move is this move, in which case you play bishop g4. They have to go to f2. F2 is just mate, because then the queen comes to f3. They go to e3, you play queen g1. And actually, that's funny. This is my game. It's in my database. Let's look at it. Let's look at the way this game ended. So I have a game in the database. That's pretty cool. So yeah, e4, e5, f4, knight c6, knight f3, f5, bishop c4, f takes e4, knight takes, pawn takes, d5, en passant, bishop takes d6, and queen h4. g3, queen d5, and now queen check, g3, bishop takes g3, pawn takes g3, queen takes h8 or h1. And then, yeah, he played king e2. I played bishop g4, king e3, queen g1, king f4. And the whole point of this whole line is that white's never going to get the chance to play this move. And also, white cannot take the bishop because of knight f6. And that's what happened in my game. So this was when I was 2197 versus a 2144, and he fell for this trap. So this is another one of the very fun traps. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure out the move order, but yeah, so it's very venomous, very high scoring for black. And so I guess the question is, I always do this with all these videos, is it playable and for what ratings? I think this opening can be played in classical chess, can be played in bullet chess, blitz. It's so good. Like, this is one of my favorites. This is when people play the King's Gambit against me, my eyes light up because I can't wait to play this opening. I think you could play it on all levels. Literally, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, look at, you play f5, it's plus 0.3 for white. So even if white plays perfect, they have this little smidge of an advantage. Like, I think you could play at super GM level, IM level, national master, beginner, 1500, 1600, any time control, bullet, blitz, rapid, classical. This is, I mean, it's got the engine stamp of approval. It's like, look at the percentages in the opening explorer. It's got the human stamp of approval. It works against humans. Nothing wrong with it. 100%. What is the word I'm working for? 100% viable against anybody on any rating and any time control. So, yeah, there's the Miles defense of the King's Gambit. If you use it and you win, please send me the game on Twitter at the Ewizzle, and I hope you enjoy. Peace.